All right, what is going on, everyone? Today we're going to talk about something that may be messing with your bowling swing, on how you can improve it, some do's, some don'ts. Stay tuned. All right, Brad, a lot of questions that we get when we're helping people out is we're working on the arm swing. And yes, there's things in the actual arm swing, the ball arm that is controlling the ball that we need to work on, but there's some other things that help us get a better swing alignment. What is that? If it's not that arm, it's
the opposite arm.
We call this the
balance arm.
Balance arm.
Yeah, because why do they call it the balance arm?
I don't know, you kind of just have it out there.
It just helps you balance. Okay, yeah. So, and this is something that was kind of brought to my attention. I've never really thought much about. I mean, I have, I guess, when I was young, but not so much the position of it and what that does in terms of like ball motion and power. And it became known to me when Kyle pulled up a slow-mo of his finishing position at the foul line, or at least like the last couple steps we watched in slow-mo, and I really got to see how much farther in front of him his balance arm was, and then when he came through the shot, it almost went this way. Now you have a problem with it going up? Is that the thing you work on?
Yeah, when I go, I like to go this way instead of like this way.
Yeah, well for me, I noticed I didn't get it in front of me a whole lot. So I would kind of do the shot and it would kind of just go out to my left, out to the side. And then I always kind of wondered, like, man, how's Kyle get his ball to roll so early? How's Kyle like create like these crazy angles, like hooking the ball? And then it dawned on me, like, oh, because this arm is giving him so much more at the foul line. So I want you to talk about that. Have you worked on that? Getting it more in front of you?
Absolutely. So I actually had an issue at one point where it was too far in front of me. So we're going to explain a little bit of what we want the balance arm to do. Then we're going to go through some don'ts, and then we're going to wrap it up. So anyway, the balance arm, when you go to push away the ball, ideally we want that for a one-handed bowler. We want that arm to just go right out in front of us and stay as steady, ideally, as we can. If you have a center plane here, we want it just left of center. Now, you're going to have a little bit of movement. It's kind of what I struggle with a little bit, where my arm goes out here and then back. But ideally, when we push that ball, we just want that arm out in front of us. What this does is allows us to open up our shoulders and allows our shoulders and hips to engage to where we can now use the full torque of our body to create power coming through. If we release the ball and our arm stays out here, well, look at my shoulders. Like, I can't open them up if my arm is straight out here. So then I'm just, in order to create power, I just got to be like somehow super under it, and you just can't get that athletic movement of getting your hips and shoulders to really get through the bowling ball.
Yeah, and you know, if you look at the bowlers from back in the day, you know, in Dick Weber's era, though a lot of those guys had to play so straight on the lane that their arm just went directly out the side. All they were worried about was accuracy. Can I throw a dart and hit a triple 20? And so what they needed was the most little movement as possible with straight hips. But this thing is essentially connected to your hips. So the more in front of you it goes, and for your case, if it goes too far, well then your hips have no choice but to go with it. And so if you're someone out there who loves to play large angles, have a high rev rate, and you struggle a little bit with playing straight, maybe you're just getting a little bit too far in front of this way. And the opposite, if you're someone that's looking to build a hook game and a little bit more of a power game, you might be jailing yourself because you're not allowing your hips and your body to open up because your balance arm is not letting you.
All right, Brad's going to be our guinea pig here. We're going to do 2 shots of the don'ts. So Brad, the first one I want you to do is I want you to overextend that balance arm. So when you bring it back, I want you to feel like the balance arm is on the right side of your body.
Okay.
Okay.
And this is
something that we see a lot, and we'll explain why we don't want that. So really emphasize it. I want you to feel like that balance arm is pointing towards lane 8.
Yeah, I feel like my body's pointed towards lane 10. All right, here we go. Oh! Whoa!
Yeah, baby.
That's what I'm missing.
So, so what happens, one thing we see, you can see in that video, Brad overextended this way. a lot of times when people's balance arm overextend here, what's gonna happen is that swing is now gonna come behind your body. So they get into this position. And when that swing is coming behind your body, just like what happened to Brad there, it's coming from such a inside here to out that you're gonna be shooting it right all the time, just like Brad just did.
All right, what's the next
The
don't?
next one I want you to do is we see people do is where when you go to push away, the balance arm just stays straight out here.
I'm gonna play the same line.
Same line, and then when you release that
hard.
ball, the
Yeah.
balance arm just
This
stays
is
right
gonna be
there
so
the
hard.
entire time.
All right, here we go.
Yeah, baby.
That just tells you my hips are too open regardless.
So those are two ways of manipulating the balance arm. Now, ideally, so that's what's not to do. When you have the balance arm straight out here, like Brad said, our hips, our shoulders, it's really hard to open them. So, and now today's game, we're wanting to hook it so much.
You can't generate power.
You can't generate power. Your hips and shoulders aren't aligned to get the ball out there because everything is, when your balance arm stays out here, everything else is so square. I can't physically really open up. So ideally, what we want, like we talked about, is when we go to push away the ball, we want that balance arm to just stay. If there's a center line here, so if you look at Brad, there's a center line, we want it to just be just left of that center line and stay steady until he comes. We don't want too much movement going on. So we think we can try that?
Yep.
Okay. So what Brad's gonna focus on here is when he goes and pushes away the ball, he's gonna imagine lane 5. He's gonna look at that number on lane 5, and he's just gonna try to point his arm to lane 5 and keep it as steady as possible.
Look at this.
That was solid.
Yeah, it's all motion. You gotta give yourself the best chance at generating the most consistent motion. And it just makes sense. You know, it doesn't need to be on your side, it doesn't need to be on the other side of your body. It just needs to be kind of sort of in the direction you're going, you know? It just helps you do everything.
Yeah, and one key tip when you're working on this and at the beginning, make sure this arm stays loose. A lot of times when we go to point, we like to stiffen up this arm. Eventually we want to keep it loose. But yes, we talked about the bowling swing to start it out. This manipulation of the balance arm can really dictate how your swing is developing back here. So that's just something to keep in mind when you're working on your swing or you're working on your angles or you're trying to maybe transform your game to do something else, create more power, whatever it is. Take a look at this opposite arm. It really has an effect on the rest of the bowling swing.
All right, guys, thank you for watching that video on the balance arm. Who would have thought the opposite arm, huh?
Can I tell like a 30-second story?
Yes, go ahead.
I never knew I had a left arm when I bowled until I went to Team USA camp for the first time. I was like 18 or 19, something like that. And they go, hey, we're gonna work on your left arm. And I'm like, left arm? I throw it with my right arm. And I remember I was focusing on that for the first time. And it was the weirdest thing, because the first 18 years of my life, I never paid attention to this arm one time. And of course, it was going all over the place. So it's going to be a pretty alienated feeling if you've never worked on it.
But it's one of those things that can be the light bulb. You get it steady and all of a sudden, bam, you know, you improve like crazy. All right, so make sure you hit that like and subscribe, and we appreciate you guys as always. We love you, and we'll see you.